The Amish 3-ingredient backyard compost formula. No fertilizer needed. Scale is the great illusion of modern agriculture. We look at a 400-acre Lancaster County farm, a sprawling tapestry of green, sustained entirely without grid power or synthetic inputs, and we assume its success requires immense space. But biology does not care about acreage. The exact same microbial momentum that powers a massive heritage homestead can be compressed, localized, and ignited inside a single square yard of space. This is the Amish Triad. It is a forgotten, low-tech thermal engineering formula that uses exactly 3 unrefined, everyday ingredients to construct a self-heating biological engine. Without a single bag of store-bought fertilizer, this method manipulates fluid dynamics and raw microbiology to generate pure, jet-black humus in a matter of weeks. And it can be done on a balcony, a concrete driveway, or a tiny suburban plot. Every year, millions of suburban homesteaders and backyard gardeners participate in an engineered cycle of dependency. We are told that to grow food, we must first buy our way into the modern agricultural supply chain. We fill our cars with heavy, expensive bags labeled premium garden soil. But scientifically, much of this material is structurally dead. It is a sterile matrix of highly processed peat moss and wood byproducts, completely devoid of the indigenous microbial networks required to unlock plant nutrients. Because this medium possesses no inherent biological vitality, your plants inevitably starve. To fix it, the industry sells you a temporary cure: petroleum-derived synthetic liquid fertilizers. This creates a toxic trap. Synthetic nitrogen salts bypass the soil's natural systems, forcing plants into rapid, watery growth spurts that weaken their cellular walls. This fragile, unnatural growth acts as a beacon for pests, which prompts the purchase of yet another chemical intervention: pesticides. Meanwhile, those same chemical salts accumulate in your soil, killing off what few beneficial fungi remained, turning your garden into a permanent addict of the commercial aisle. Even those who attempt to compost at home are often steered toward failure. We are told to buy expensive, enclosed plastic tumblers. But by sealing organic matter inside an unventilated plastic drum, we restrict natural fluid dynamics. Oxygen levels drop, the pile turns anaerobic, and instead of a clean, thermophilic breakdown, you are left with a putrid, slimy mass of rotting waste that attracts pests and repels beneficial microbes. To break free from this consumer trap, we must study the mechanical logic of the off-grid Amish homestead. The Amish do not view composting as a passive chore of discarding waste. They treat it as the deliberate engineering of a biological engine. This engine relies on a strict mathematical framework: the carbon-to-nitrogen atomic balance, ideally targeted at a ratio of 30:1. To achieve this without a laboratory or digital testing kits, the Amish rely on a structural trinity of 3 raw, unrefined ingredients. The first ingredient is the carbon matrix, or what the Amish call the insulation engine. This is typically aged, dry wheat straw or weathered forest leaves. Carbon provides the structural skeleton of the pile, preventing compaction and ensuring that the microscopic inhabitants have physical surfaces to colonize. The second ingredient is the nitrogen fuel cell: fresh, protein-rich organic matter like livestock bedding, green field covers, or fresh manure. Nitrogen is the chemical ignition source. It provides the raw proteins and amino acids that cause microbial populations to multiply exponentially. The third and most critical component is the local inoculant. The Amish do not buy commercial powdered microbes. Instead, they take a single shovelful of unrefined, living soil from the edge of an old forest or an established field. This introduces millions of native, highly adapted mycorrhizal fungi, actinomycetes, and thermophilic bacteria directly into the core of the matrix. When these 3 ingredients are layered in precise physical volume ratios, The pile utilizes fluid dynamics to create a natural chimney effect. As the microbes consume the nitrogen and carbon, their metabolic activity generates intense heat. The air in the center of the pile warms, expands, and rises. This upward movement creates a low-pressure vacuum at the base, which continuously pulls fresh oxygen inward through the sides of the pile. This natural convective loop keeps the entire system fully aerated. The core temperature stabilizes between 140 and 160 degrees Fahrenheit. At this precise thermal threshold, weed seeds and pathogens are completely vaporized, while the thermophilic bacteria remain completely unharmed, transforming raw waste into complex humus without ever requiring you to turn the pile manually. You do not need a barnyard or a horse-drawn plow to harness this engineering marvel. We can translate this large-scale biological engine into a high-density system designed perfectly for a suburban backyard, a concrete compound, or a storage tote on a balcony. To build your mini, you will source 3 simple, urban-available substitutes. For your carbon matrix, bypass store-bought straw and collect plain, unprinted cardboard boxes or dry autumn leaves. Shred the cardboard by hand into small, 2-inch pieces. This physical geometry creates the exact structural air pockets needed to mimic the Amish straw beds. To build your mini, you will source 3 simple, urban-available substitutes. For your carbon matrix, bypass store-bought straw and collect plain, unprinted cardboard boxes or dry autumn leaves. Shred the cardboard by hand into small, 2-inch pieces. This physical geometry creates the exact structural air pockets needed to mimic the Amish straw beds. For your local inoculant, simply take a single garden spade and collect a scoop of soil from the base of a local park tree or a healthy patch of backyard earth. This costs nothing, yet it guarantees your pile is instantly preloaded with millions of native organisms already adapted to your local climate. Now assemble the biological engine. If using a standard storage container on concrete, we must hack the fluid dynamics since we lack a ground connection. Take a drill and pierce half-inch holes every 3 inches along the bottom and sides. To replicate the Amish natural chimney effect, roll a scrap piece of wire mesh into a hollow, 3-inch cylinder and stand it vertically right in the center of the bin. Next, lay your ingredients using the strict volumetric formula. Begin with a 6-inch base layer of your shredded carbon cardboard around the central pipe. Add a 2-inch layer of your nitrogen coffee grounds and kitchen waste directly on top. Finally, dust the layer with a thin, 1/4-inch sprinkle of your local inoculant soil. Repeat this layering sequence until the container is completely full, and finish with a heavy top layer of carbon to insulate the heat. Because the central wire tube acts as an internal chimney, oxygen will be continuously sucked through the side holes, fueled by the core heat, and vented out the top. Within 48 hours, the center of your urban container will reach the same thermophilic temperatures as a professional Lancaster County farm, breaking down your waste cleanly, odorless, and rapidly without a single turn of a pitchfork. What begins as a simple exercise in balancing raw carbon and nitrogen quickly evolves into a permanent structural shift in your relationship with food. By mastering this microbiological engine, you achieve total financial liberation from the commercial garden industry. You no longer have to pay for plastic bags of sterile dirt, and you never have to buy another bottle of synthetic, salt-based fertilizer. The mathematical ratios engineered by the Amish hundreds of years ago prove that genuine abundance cannot be purchased from a store shelf. It must be cultivated through a deep understanding of natural cycles. True self-reliance is not defined by the number of acres you own. It is found in your ability to reclaim and manage the closed-loop systems that the modern world has hidden behind a commercial paywall. When you transform your everyday waste into a thriving biological powerhouse, you take your first permanent step toward absolute food sovereignty. If you value the quiet engineering of the past and want to reclaim your food independence 1 square foot at a time, join our community. Subscribe to Amish Homestead Secrets, and let's build something that lasts. Now that you possess the master ratio for metabolic heat, you are ready to apply it directly to your permanent growing spaces. Watch our next blueprint to discover exactly how to build supersoil in a 4x4 raised bed using Amish ratios.